Good afternoon. So today, Alternative Compliance Scheme and Enhanced Authorisation Scheme. These are schemes from the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency. They're a UK authority. So they do just apply to UK flagged vessels. And they are a system for ships to be inspected, surveyed, in fact, by classification societies for some or more of their statutory certification, rather than those surveys being carried out by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency. They are not necessarily open to all ships, especially EAS. We'll look at that in some more detail in a moment. And it does mean that if you are in these schemes, certificates will be issued by the classification society, registered or recognised organisation, rather than the Maritime Coast Guard Agency. If you are not UK flagged, then different schemes will probably apply. Some flags will basically permit the classification societies to survey and issue certificates for everything, and some flags may hold on to more or indeed all of those surveys themselves. Don't even know if I'm recording. Stand by. Okay, we'll start then with the Alternative Compliance Scheme, ACS, which has been around a little bit longer, outlined in MGN 568, which you should be able to see in front of you, and replaces the earlier 537. There's some MSNs to be read in conjunction, but they don't give a lot more information about this specific procedure. This guidance notice really summarises everything you need. Remember, ACS is a scheme that ships can apply to join, whereby a number of their statutory surveys are carried out by recognised organisations, which is classification societies, and certificates issued by them. Although the MCA retains the right to carry out inspections, and it also will not allow recognised organisations to carry out some of the surveys. Effectively, it works because the Maritime Coast Guard Agency retains the surveys for ISM, that's both safety management for the ship, and DOC for the company, and by surveying those, they can ensure that the ship is being managed correctly, and there is therefore less risk in them taking a hands-off or delegated approach to the hardware and equipment on the ship, which is inspected then by the classification society. To be eligible to join, and you have to apply to join ACS, you must not have been detained in the last 36 months or have had more than 5 deficiencies in the last 12 months of port state control. You must be classed with one of the recognised organisations authorised by the UK. That's all the big ones. You almost certainly are already. They even allow RENA, crikey. And the MCA must have access to certificates and records so that they can perform additional checks. The MCA will also attend, or at least has the right to attend, in-water surveys and dry docks, and therefore require notification so that they can plan a surveyor for that. There's various paperwork that you need to fill out, which is detailed in here, and I will not go through. We must remember, though, these are retained by the MCA, so those will still be surveyed by the MCA. That's the ISM, International Safety Management, surveys and inspections, ISPS and MLC. MLC in particular, because when this was created, MLC was reasonably new, and also because it's so important. And again, ISPS, just because of the interplay of different parts of the organisation. So lots of information here, but the key stuff that comes through at the end is what is in the annex, and this is what is inspected by whom. So once the ship is on the Alternative Compliance Scheme, for example, cargo ship safety construction certificate surveys are carried out by the RO, and they will then issue the certificates for it. You see FFAF, let's just check what those mean. A is about advising the MCA, F is full, and N is no. So initial, full term and the annual intermediates for SAFCON are all covered by the registered organisation, a recognised organisation. They will carry out the surveys, they will issue the certificates. What's more interesting is the no's. So high-speed craft are not permitted to have their certificates issued by the recognised organisation. That must be done by the Maritime Coast Guard Agency. Basically, it's the SOLAS and MARPOL and load line certificates that are issued by the Classification Society, as well as anything under the GC or IGC or IBC codes. Crucially down here, so MLC we already mentioned is not covered, ISM is not covered, ISSC is not covered, and passenger ship safety certificate. Passenger ships are not eligible to enrol into ACS or indeed into EAS. The MCA retains all inspections and surveys for those vessels. If you are in ACS, as well as the surveys, initial, intermediates and annuals and periodicals, and then renewals are carried out by the RO. But the MCA will come on board and carry out ISSC, ISM and MLC. They will usually do MLC and ISSC together, and then maybe a separate visit for ISM inspection. They will also carry out flag state inspections, which the period of which depends on the risk profile for the ship. Generally low risk ships every 5 years, and then increasing in frequency as the risk profile of the ship increases. If the risk profile of the ship gets too high, the ACS is revoked and the MCA then become responsible for all surveys and issuance of certificates. To demonstrate that you are part of the ACS scheme, the MCA will issue you with a certificate of inspection. Effectively, they come on as part of one of their inspections, check that the Classification Society have issued the other certificates, for example, SAFRAD, SAFCON, and assuming those certificates are there and valid and that you are passing your flag state inspections with a appropriate risk profile, they will issue the certificate of inspection. That then proves that you are a member of this scheme, which allows you to be to demonstrate compliance with the law. So the second method of delegation the MCA uses to allow ROs to carry out surveys and issue certificates on their behalf is the Enhanced Authorisation Scheme, EAS, details of which outlined in MGN 561, with further information on surveys and inspections in general in these MSNs noted at the top. EAS is an invite-only scheme, so you can't apply to have your ships in EAS. You have to wait for the MCA to invite you, which is generally done on the... So you are generally eligible once you have a proven track record under port state control and have been inspected by the MCA for a flag state inspection. Goes without saying, applies only to UK flagged ships. Generally, new build ships need to have an initial inspection first. Flag-in ships may be eligible to go straight in once they have been inspected by the MCA, as long as they have a proven PSC record and the managing company hasn't changed. If you are not eligible for EAS, doesn't change in any way the eligibility for ACS. EAS is handled broadly in the same way as ACS, but with the addition that the MCA delegates the surveys and inspections for the Ship Safety Management Certificate, her International Ship Security Certificate, and the MLC certification to an RO, which means the only surveys, inspections, and certification that the MCA retains of those in the scheme is the document of compliance certificate, which is the company the company ISM certificate. So the MCA validates the safe management of the ships by auditing the company. Remember, DOC requires an annual inspection. And then by ensuring that the DOC or the SMS provided by the company is suitable and followed, then the ships themselves can be assumed to be run in a safe manner, so long as they continue to have their surveys certificates by the RO and that they continue to have a positive port state control record. It does not change the frequency of your flag state inspections. Flag state inspections are still carried out by the MCA and generally will always be the enhanced type, extended type, which will cover a lot of the spot check of a lot of the equipment that would be covered under, say, safety equipment or safety construction, including drills and the like. As for ACS, passenger vessels are not allowed to be part of EAS. Passenger ships, because of the high-risk nature of them, will always be surveyed for all parts of the statutory regime by the MCA. So there we have it. That is a very brief summary of ACS and EAS. Remember, they are a method by which the MCA delegates responsibility for surveys and certification of a number of the main conventions to classification societies. This reduces workload on the MCA and it helps to enhance surveys because class already have a lot of the information and knowledge about the vessels. The way the MCA retains their oversight is in ACS by continuing to survey for ISSC, MLC, SMC and DOC, and even under EAS that they continue to do surveys and issue certificates, the DOC certificate. They also conduct under both schemes flag state inspections, and through any of those methods they may identify areas of concern that they would look into in more detail. For both, the port state control record of the vessel and indeed the company is important as well. Thank you very much for your time today. I look forward to the next topic.